Hello, everyone. I'm Dijon,
I'm Christian.
and welcome to the Mustardcast, the podcast about the art of storytelling and how it's used across different mediums. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see your channel. See your channel. If you want to see our channel grow, and to click the notification bell so that you're notified when we post. I don't know why I can't pronounce words today. Um, Free Palestine, Sudan, Congo. Everybody deserves to be free. The world's wild. It's crazy. New York is haven right now, though. It's a haven. That
Yeah,
Mamdani out there doing God's work.
yeah. I think like somebody made a tweet. It's like if the Knicks win this championship, Mamdani's going to be mayor forever. And I think that's the vibe I'm getting right now. I think he's just going to be. He, I think he's just going to win every election ever from here on out.
The government as is already breaks all types of constitutional laws, so we might as well just let that man run for president.
No, exactly. Yeah, we should just do like a quick little touch up to the amendment system.
Yeah,
Like a quick little, just like a quick, like get like a little ink over, like the white paint ink. We could just do that.
yeah. So, what have you been watching lately in terms of live action stuff?
Yeah. In regards to live action stuff, which is interesting. I've been watching a lot of animated things recently,
Or you can just
but
tell
as
tell
far
me everything.
okay, yeah. In regards to what first with some of the live action things I've been watching, it's mainly been comedy based things. There's one stand up comedian. His name's Ali Sadiq, and he has a 4-part stand up comedy series where it's like an hour and 30 minute set for each part, and it's all in chronological order of him talking about his childhood and his story of being in prison. And it's a genuinely cool piece of art. Like it's a very well written, and it's funny, of course, like as a stand up comedy special, but it's very well written and very well penned. And that was very good watch for any comedy fans, and also just a fan of like just one person storytelling.
Yeah,
Definitely check.
I definitely a big fan of Ali Sadiq. I don't think I'm watching any of his specials now.
Yeah. Domino effect, man. I don't think anyone. Hot take. I genuinely think it might be one of the best, if not the best, of modern comedy specials in the past few years. Like, it's just no one else has done that. Like, it's just very creative. Yeah, definitely recommend that. And I'd say that's the main live action thing that I watched. Shoot, what else have I seen? I'm trying to think about films. It's like nothing's immediately coming to mind. But yeah, in regards to animated things, I've been watching the Lost Tapes, the regular show episodes, and
Same.
I mean, yeah, back like they never left. Honestly, I really like the episodes. There are some episodes where it's like, okay, y'all are like a couple years too late, and this was done during like the Boba episode. I feel like the Boba craze happened like maybe a good 2 to 3 years back, where it was like everyone was just talking about Boba. But I think that so far the season still nails that style of Benson's like take out the trash and then the FBI gets involved. Like I just love that storytelling structure, and I think they stick to it and do it very well. One of our coworkers, she was saying that it sucks that regular show has to come back to show cartoon, like show people how it's done. In that, like, yeah, I mean, regular shows coming back. Adventure Time is having a prequel series, and it's just like all of the OGs are like firmly coming back, which is cool. But I do wish that there was not only that there was more original animated IPs, but that they had the ability to survive after one
Yeah.
season.
Like the Cartoon Network had a bunch of new stuff that they just canceled in swaths. It was crazy. They had a lot of really good new stuff, and they just
Mhm.
canceled it all. It was crazy.
Right. Yeah, it's just very crazy. and it's like it's going on with Turner with Cartoon Network, and it's also been going on with Disney. Like there's some shows that I just do not hear about or have not heard of until the run of it is over. It's this one show called Stugo that was on Disney Channel, and watching some of that show, it's very much so like very wacky, silly, very like sci-fi based, but it's pretty cool and pretty fun. Yeah, just a lot of shows like that, and yeah, I just wish that they had the ability to. I mean, one, I wish that they were marketed well, which I feel like is the main issue. It's like these shows aren't marketed well or like talked about enough. And then Disney is like, okay, we're taking it off the air because no one's watching it. And it's like you didn't tell anybody it existed. Um, it, it's cool that the OGs are coming back, but I wish that there was more effort towards marketing new IPs.
Yeah, like
And it's
I'm glad the regular show is back, but I would have preferred season 3 of Close Enough.
same, exactly. Which I feel like some people had mixed thoughts on Close Enough because it's like, oh, it's just regular show with cussing. Um,
Exactly. That's the point. That's all it needed to be.
yeah. And to be honest, I feel like they found their stride in that show and they had some pretty funny storytelling concepts and it had the verisimilitude to last on its own standing. And yeah, it just kind of sucks that we're not getting any more Close Enough. And I wish we did. Um,
All I've
but
wanted is an adult regular show, and that's what that was.
mhm, yeah. And yeah, now we're back to alcohol being represented with wings. Oh, and I Love Boosters. That was a live action thing I saw. I saw I Love Boosters, and yeah, it's crazy. It is very. I don't even know where to start with that film. It's very much so a socialist, communist movie, especially with some of the concepts that it explores in regards to like dialectic materialism, just labor, pain that is caused by labor, and it's also just very wacky. But I think it was a cool, entertaining film. There is some academics that have different thoughts on that film, but I thought it was cool. But overall, regards to live action things, that's all I've seen and animated stuff.
What are the academics saying?
There's some. There's one specific mind. His name is Dr. Jerry Ball, and he's a um, professor and doctor at Morgan State University. Very great mind, and he has a series called "I Mix What I Like," and he often has the critique that Hollywood films can never really inspire revolution because of the fact that they, at the end of the day, are a product made by Hollywood. And it's, I do think that there is some truth to that. And I think that it is possible for films to have like progressive messaging or like deep and like layered meaning. But for him, it's like because of the fact that it's still a product at the end of the day, it's hard for it to really inspire anything greater because it's still just an item for profit. And he makes a lot of points in regards to that juxtaposition. Um, and yeah, it's a lot of academics that are like the analysis of capitalism that it has is there, but also kind of toothless. I would say that some of the analysis in the film is good. I don't mind the analysis in the film. Also, I just like fun films. But yeah, the way that I feel about like politics and film is that, or not even politics, but revolutionary politics, is that film itself can't inspire revolution, but I think that films can introduce discussion of revolutionary ideas. Like, I don't think that Sinners itself will cause a revolution, but I do think that Sinners can start a discussion on commodification of black culture or like cultural uniformity under whiteness. So it's like that discourse has been happening around the film and like what is the purpose of film in a recession and a dark moment. in history. But yeah,
Yeah, that gets the conversation of like, what is the purpose of art? Period. When things are bad,
exactly.
people always try to be, make it seem like art shouldn't exist when things start to get bad, and that gets into an argument of just art should exist. Period, and that's always weird.
Exactly. Mhm. So yes, bunch of dialogue like that, which I think is good that there's intellectual dialogue around film, what our expectations from film should be, because I mean, yeah, like the traditional Hollywood language, the traditional structure of telling a story through film is it's a Eurocentric lens. Like it's based around even the idea of using a camera to portray something. It's which is why I do have a lot of respect for black cinematographers because it's like lenses have been used to portray black folks, indigenous folks in the worst possible ways. So it's like you have to decolonize the camera and it's like a lot of being a black person in film, you also have to like recognize like, oh shoot, they do not know how to light black people properly, or they don't know what to do with black folks' hair, or like black women characters' hair, so they just give them random wigs, or they just give them a headband, which is what happened in High School Musical. So it's like with making film, you're also kind of fighting Eurocentrism at the same time. So it's like it's a bunch of interesting layers there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I have to check it out eventually.
Also, that was very heavy. But
No, it's fine.
yeah,
That's why I got you on the podcast, brother.
cool.
Well, for me, only a couple things. As far as I can remember, I don't think I've seen anything else. Oh no, that's not true. I just forgot to write them down because I'm going to talk about them in the review section. I just didn't write them in the like what I've been watching lately. But I watched Tetris on Apple TV, and I had watched like a bit of it at one point at work. Like Dan had just like played in the background, and it interested me because I love Tetris, the game, and the movie is about it's a biopic about the origin of the game and its creation and how it was made by a, a, a developer in Russia, and they essentially had to try and excise it from Russia and put it, across the world. And, it was one of the games that launched on the Game Boy and a part of the reason why the Game Boy sold so well. And yeah, it's a very interesting movie. Unlike any biopic, it paints certain people in a better light than apparently they were in real life. Like the main character played by Taron Egerton is apparently not as good of a person potentially as the movie
Dang.
makes him out to be. I mean, even though the movie I think does make it out to be that he's not necessarily a great person, but maybe he was even worse. I don't know. I'm also that's just based off of a little bit what I've heard from other people, based on the movie. That it could be hearsay for all I know. But biopics are sensationalized to an extent, always for the sake of entertainment. Like the Michael Jackson one that recently came out. Yeah, it was good though. Just learning about the origins of Tetris. Love that game. To this day, highest grossing video game ever. So,
Yeah.
very long standing love Tetris. Been watching Spider-Man Noir on Amazon Prime Video, and
Mm,
that's been good. Only about halfway through it, but I'll talk a little bit more about that
okay.
later. And I also watched Masters of the Universe, The Mandalorian Grogu, which I did uh actually talk about last episode that we did for TV and film because I watched it afterwards, but before I uploaded it, so I was able to edit that in. But I'll talk about it more here with you. And I watched Obsession, which we'll talk a lot about later. We're going
Gotcha.
into some trailers and news.
Oh,
Stop.
and Deshaun,
Oh,
I thought I not to interrupt. I forgot one more film that I did watch. I watched the Earth, Wind, and Fire documentary that
uh,
Questlove did,
yeah. I
and
mean,
that was very, very, very good. Very good documentary. A lot of stuff that I did not know. Provided a lot of insight to Maurice White and just like everyone who was involved in that band. Um, I feel like I mean, of course, September has been mean to bits, but I feel like a lot of folks don't really understand like Earth, Wind, and Fire is different. One of the best groups ever. Yeah,
yeah, for sure.
that was another thing I watched. But yeah,
Yeah, I've had that because that's on HBO, ain't it?
Yeah, HBO.
Yeah, it's been sitting my like watch later for a while. I need to sit down and watch it. But yeah, moving on to trailers and news, starting with Man of Tomorrow. We've been getting a lot of news about that movie as they're filming, which I love. This is much better than getting leaked set photos. Instead, we're getting them officially showing us things like Lex Luthor's power suit, which looks ripped straight out of the comics.
Good. Looks good.
It
Yeah.
looks real good. Like, yeah, I love how much they're just showing us stuff. Like, James Gunn's like, I know somebody's going to just take a picture and post it online eventually, so I'm just going to do it myself. And I appreciate that. I assume whenever, like, Brainiac is on set, they're probably before that happens, they're just gonna post a photo. This is what Brainiac looks like. We're not gonna we're not gonna let them leak it. We're just gonna show you. Yeah, very very excited for that movie. Which I think it's supposed to come out next year. Like, yeah, they're on top of it.
Rolling.
They're really getting this stuff done. Like, we're already about to get another Superman movie. Supergirl comes out in a week. Like, yeah, it's a good time.
We still getting Clayface too.
Yeah, and that's later this year, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
that's
so.
very exciting stuff. They're on a roll, you know. Just where's Wonder Woman? God damn it, I need Wonder Woman. Uh, but we have the Bear final season trailer. That premieres in a couple days on June 25th, and so I'll be talking about it a lot next episode, the next TV and film episode in like a month. But yeah, it's finally come to an end. Season, I think, what is this, 5? So
That's season 5.
yeah, you say you haven't like watched most of it, or you've only
Yeah,
seen like
still.
part of the first season.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great show. Definitely, definitely suggest checking it out. It can be intense. It's just a lot. Never worked in that industry, and just watching it happen, I'm just like,
Yeah.
it's wild
It's
stuff.
like, y'all got that. Y'all got that.
Y'all got that for sure. I hate that. I don't think they did this originally, or maybe I'm wrong, but they drop all the episodes at once. They've been doing it since at least last season, and I don't like it.
How
And
do you feel about sequential versus how do you feel about weekly versus all drop at once?
I'm a weekly guy all the way because you drop it all at once, it's going to take me forever to finish it. If you drop it weekly, I'm going to watch one episode a week. You drop it all at
Right.
once, it's going to be like half a year later before I finish the show.
Right.
Because
So
I don't know, it's weird. Like, I'm glad House of Dragon comes out tonight as of recording, and it's gonna be weekly, which is how they should do it.
yeah.
Especially,
Yeah.
that's a different situation. It is Game of Thrones, biggest TV show on the face of the planet. So,
Right.
that has a bit more hype around it. But at the
True.
same time, The Bear is still very popular and would do very well weekly. Like, people
Right.
talking about those episodes week to week. Like, that discussion, I love having that discussion, and also just giving people as much time as possible to watch the episode without like being able to be spoiled on the entirety of the show all at once. You can only be spoiled on a single episode, and it's much easier to avoid spoilers for a single episode.
Right. No, exactly. And that's like the tough thing. It's spoilers and it's the fact that it affects the lens that you view the show. So it's like watching something that was dropped all at once, it doesn't feel like you're watching or analyzing it as a series. It feels like you're reviewing and analyzing a 10-hour film. Uh, it feels like the sum of its parts, not like multiple parts leading to something big at the end.
Yeah,
And yeah,
and it's crazy because on Amazon Prime, it's currently the latest season of Legend Fox Machina is airing, and you know what they do? They do 3 episodes every week, or maybe, yeah, 3. They do 3 episodes a week, and I'm like, yeah, do that. They do it across 4 weeks because I think it's like 12 episodes. Uh, and I'm like, yeah, if you're gonna do like, that's for me is the perfect middle ground, but that only works for 30-minute shows. I think The Bear for the most part is 30 minutes. Like, if they did it like 2-3 episodes a week, I'd mess with that, you know. And another thing that's gonna be weekly is X-Men 97, which comes out in a couple weeks on the 1st of July. But again, that's another thing where it's like, I guess, more popular. Everybody loves the X-Men, but it's like, the Bear is popular. You could do week to week, and the Bear would be fine.
it would do
You
good.
would lose nothing by having the Bear be week to week.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it. It's a good show. Love the show. Very interested to see where it ends, especially at the end of last season, which was very interesting. But yeah, next we have How to Rob a Bank. How to Rob a Bank. In How to Rob a Bank, a crew of social media savvy bank robbers broadcast their daring heist, unaware that their growing viral fame has put them in the crosshairs of a veteran FBI agent and a brilliant software engineer. Despite the unlikely duo closing in, the crime ring pushes past their limits, putting everything on the line for their beliefs and their most ambitious heist yet. Starring Nicholas Holt, Zoe Kravitz, uh, Anna Sawai, Renzi Feliz, Christian Slater, with Pete Davidson and John C. Riley. So initially, I just see this trailer and I'm like, I don't care. But um, the main thing that got me interested in the movie is the fact that it's directed by Jonathan Sela, who directed Fall Guy, Bullet Train, and Deadpool 2. Three movies that I love. So I'm like, okay, wait a minute now. This could be good. This could be fire. Because Bullet Train and Fall Guy especially are sleeper hits. Those are some really good and fun kind of just action movies, like summer blockbuster style movies. And How to Rob a Bank is probably going to be the same.
Yeah,
So,
got you. Yeah. And I agree. Looking at the trailer and seeing that David Leitch is involved in directing, I just I thought this is the most David Leitch film ever. Like I think it has the witty dialogue, it has the set pieces,
mm,
and like interesting characterization. I haven't seen Fall Guy, but like he does have a very distinct style, and I think that this could be pretty cool. And the ensemble seems pretty cool as well, and it has like a visual style. It looks pretty good. So yeah, I'm interested in this film too, and it's original. Um, it's not like based off of a IP, as far as I know. So yeah, it looks pretty cool.
yeah, for sure. Next, we have Primetime. Chris Hansen, host of To Catch a Predator, sets out to make television history in 2006. From director Lance Oppenheim, starring Robert Pattinson, uh, Marie Weaver, Skylar Gazando, Matthew Mayer, and Bokeem Woodbine. I saw an A24 logo in the title, or A24 in the title, and Robert Pattinson in the thumbnail. So I decided to check out the trailer. And
Yeah,
what I wasn't expecting was a To Catch a Predator biopic starring Robert Pattinson as Chris Hansen.
yeah, same. Hearing him say who he was in the trailer, I was not expecting that at all.
It was very
Um,
much like, yeah, just you didn't expect it. They definitely set it up as a surprise. If you knew nothing about that trailer going in, you were just like, huh?
what? Yeah. Um, Kind of goes to show. I think that like Robert Pattinson he's been doing something very cool, and it's cool to see him really get into his character acting bag over the past few years and show how versatile he is.
Has
It was great.
A24 done biopics before?
They randomly out of nowhere, they've been starting to do more of them. I don't know about other biopics they've done, but outside of Primetime, there's another biopic coming up soon, directed by I'm blanking on his name, but the director who did Blackberry and Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie. He's doing a biopic on Anthony Bourdain called
Oh,
Tony.
okay.
The trailer for that looks pretty cool. A lot of folks have mixed thoughts on it, but that film that's another biopic that they have coming up soon.
Interesting. Interesting direction for A24. But yeah, this looks interesting. I don't know, just the fact that it's A24 and Robert Pattinson, I'm gonna be keeping my eye out on it because I'm like, that's an interesting combination.
Yeah. Also, visually, it looks very cool.
Yeah. Also, just the history of that show and the reason
Yeah.
it got canceled. It's just like
Yeah.
there's a story. There's definitely a story to tell there.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I
And a very
know, Chris
good
Hansen's
story.
still doing a similar thing, like going out there catching bad people.
Mm,
Just no longer, with that, title.
right.
But yeah, that'll be an interesting story and probably real sad
Yeah.
because
Sad and sadly relevant.
yeah, definitely. Teenage sex and death at Camp Miasma. I'm sorry, it's just unfortunate. You guys don't know what we were just talking about because I'm gonna cut it out. But it's that title of that movie is unfortunate after what we were just talking about. Um, a queer director making a slasher franchise sequel becomes obsessed with casting the original film's final girl, leading both women into psychological and sexual chaos. In theaters, August 7th. And this movie looks really good. It is from the writer and director of I Saw the TV Glow. Um,
Okay.
which I did not see the TV Glow because I didn't watch it. Not that I didn't want to. I think it was a mix. It was a combination of. I think when it came out, it had mixed reviews, so I kind of just it kind of just bounced off me. I was like, I'm not gonna watch that. But over time, I feel like the consensus has been mostly positive. So I'll probably check it out eventually before going to see this one because this one interests me a lot more because of the kind of I love slashers, and it's very much kind of playing with like slasher tropes, but with a person making a slasher, and that's very fun. It's starring Gillian Anderson, most famous for The X Files, um,
Sure.
Hannah Einbinder, and Sarah Sherman. Yeah, it looks fun. It looks good. What do you think?
I think it looks cool too. Um, the idea of a film about a film, I think that it creates like this meta narrative that's very interesting. And also, there's an interesting, also, the title alone kind of touch is on weird morality and not just how women are portrayed in slashers, but also the weird morality towards sex and how there's this weird kind of if you're sexually promiscuous or engage in an act, you're the person that dies first. There's an interesting relationship between sex and like eroticism and slasher films.
Yeah,
And
of course, like the most famous slasher franchise of all time, Friday the 13th. The thing that starts the killings in the movie is the fact that two camp counselors were having sex while Jason was swimming, and then he drowned, and his mother said, "Now I must kill you all."
right, like yeah, yeah, it's like that's the inciting thing. That's the inciting incident. So yeah, I feel like playing with that. Also, this is Camp Miasma a real franchise, or is this like
No,
a made up?
I think
That is
it's
very
a cat
interesting.
like it's similar to like what is it uh Camp Crystal Lake in the universe of Friday the 13th after the events of the murders. They call it Camp Blood. So
Mm,
I think it's supposed to be a reference to that.
Reggie. Yeah, visually this looks very cool. The meta narrative aspect of a person making a slasher based around
And
a
the
slash. Yeah.
the even more overt like allegories for queerness in this movie with the two main characters. It's very interesting, and yeah, definitely, I definitely want to check this out in theaters when it comes out. I've also, I feel like whenever the rights between Friday the 13th gets worked out, because it's a crying shame. As much as we're in a world full of just constant old IPs, it's a shame that we haven't had a new Friday the 13th in like 15 years.
It's
Like
been a bit.
legitimately, like a new Friday 13th could hit. Like legitimately, you get the right people working on it, and I'm sure there's
Yeah.
plenty of people out there who want to make a Friday 13th bad. It's just the rights are being argued between two of the original creators.
Right.
But I have an idea in my head for
What's your
what
idea?
it could be. First and foremost,
I'm.
I would want to essentially transition the series into being called Camp Blood instead of Friday the 13th.
Mm,
So the first movie would be called Camp Blood, comma Friday the 13th. So you still know it's a Friday the 13th movie, but after this, it's going to be called Camp Blood with a subtitle.
mm, okay.
And my idea is like you go back to what the original movie was with Jason's mother, and then have her being the killer, but being as for like Scream famously like makes not makes fun of, but there's a trivia portion at the beginning where they're like, "Who's the killer in the first Friday the 13th?" And they say Jason. It's like, no, it's his mother. And so like everybody knows that is not everybody, but a lot of people know that like Jason's mother was the killer in the first movie. So I think you play around with that
Mm,
idea a little bit more and like have it be a known quantity, like instead of trying to hide it. like the first movie does. And
Right.
the big reveal would be that she's not the only killer, that Jason survived and she found him and he's helping her kill.
Mm.
And I think that would be the big twist. And then, and like similar to the first movie, all of her kills are done in first person, so you don't know who it is. And I think you would do a similar thing in this movie, so you don't know it's like you assume it's her, but then at the end revealed it's her and Jason, and then she dies the same way she does in the movie. She gets her head cut off, and Jason sees it, and then kills the person who killed her. It could be cool. It could be cool. And then like I think, yeah, because Jason doesn't start off supernatural, he becomes supernatural, and you could play with that as well, of like how he becomes supernatural in the sequels. But yeah, and then Tommy Jarvis is a interesting character that was like a reoccurring character across like I think 3 movies, and with hindsight, you could make his story work even better. Like there's a lot of cool stuff that you could do, especially since he originally he was, and this is something that they kind of slowly leaned away from. But he like made mask like for like essentially based off of like horror movies, and you could lean into like Tommy Jarvis, who was a kid at the beginning of the series when he got into the series, like being into horror movies and making that stuff, and like have him maybe eventually, I mean, similar to this Cat Miasma thing, maybe make like actually work on horror movies and like on prosthetics and stuff. Like I don't know, there's something there. Okay, I'm sure
Yeah.
there's a lot of people out there with good ideas that could make a good Friday the 13th that they just let them instead of fighting over the
Yeah.
rights.
And you don't want to know my stupid name idea.
What
Saturday the 14th.
crazy word. But
Hey, that's subversion on a massive level.
nobody dies.
Right. It's just mad. It's mad peaceful.
But last in terms of trailers and news, we have Spider-Man Brand New Day. This trailer just came out just in time for the podcast. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good trailer. Second trailer, just before the movie comes out. I'm probably not gonna be watching any more trailers after this one because
Same. I don't want no spoilers.
I got my tickets because this trailer
Oh,
also
shit.
ended with them saying the tickets are out, so I got my tickets. So I'm not watching any more trailers after this. I don't need to know nothing.
Yeah.
I'm about to mute Spider-Man on Twitter and Instagram. Like, don't show me nothing. Um, but talking about this trailer, um, it opens with him just absolutely destroying Scorpion with his like mutation acting up, which makes me feel like Scorpion's not going to be in this movie as long as I want him to be.
Yeah.
Because they have an incredible actor playing him, and he's been on the sidelines for so long. He's finally going to be in here, and then it seems like he's going to get like demolished, like at the beginning or something, and then that's going to be in the Scorpion.
Kind of giving Paul Giamatti and Amazing Spider-Man too.
Yeah. We also see a lot more of Bruce Banner in this, and we even see him fully transformed into the Hulk. And I have a theory that he hadn't actually made peace with the Hulk, and instead was suppressing him when he became like Smart Hulk. And now it's kind of like come back to bite him in the ass. And he's like, the inhibitor's going to break somehow, and then the Hulk's going to come out and be upset, obviously, because that's his whole thing. Either that, or just presumably Jean Grey is going to force him to transform and become angry again. We don't have confirmation that Sadie Sink's playing Jean Grey, but like, I hope she's playing Jean Grey. Yeah, but
Yeah.
Tremel Tillman's character says that Spider-Man isn't affected by Sadie Sink's character's power, and that he can track her using his spider sense somehow, which is the only thing that makes me go, maybe it's not Jean Grey, because how would he, like, why is he immune? Is it something to do with his new mutation that's preventing him from being mind controlled? But then there's also a shot where Frank isn't being mind controlled, so it's like he immune as well. Like, I think there's something in the comics where like Frank is like resistant to mind control because he's so insane, and I'm like, that's stupid. But maybe that's happening. I don't know. But I don't know if you've seen it. If you want to look it up, there were like leaked photos of, not photos, but like promo images of what Krondon looks like as Tombstone. And he looks great. And it's like super comic accurate. I'm very excited to see what they do with Tombstone in this, because like we talked about before, there's a lot of villains, guys. Now I'm curious, like how that's all gonna work. And like, is there a main villain? Like, there, I feel like the trailer's pushing Sadie Sink's character as the main villain, but of course, it's probably gonna be subverted, and she's secretly, gonna end up being a good guy. It's probably, like I said, probably gonna be Jean Grey.
Who you think will be the villain?
I don't know. I want to assume Tombstone, or probably just Tremella Tillman's character, because he's probably gonna be like, he's the leader of the, I forget what they're called, but yeah, he's the leader of a group that's like damage control and the Department of Damage Control, and he's probably just gonna be he's probably gonna be villain, just trying to hunt down mutants. That's probably just gonna be what it is. Just mutant racism
Right.
is gonna be the villain. Racism is gonna be the villain. Uh, yeah, but towards the end, we see more of Spider-Man fighting the Hand in prison, and
Yeah.
the fact that Spider-Man and the Hand hit a pose before they start fighting says a lot
Yeah.
about how good the action's about to be. Because you don't do that. You don't do that if you're not like, okay, this fight seems about to be fire, and we're like okay being a little goofy. And,
Like shout out to John Watts, but bro.
yeah, like the swinging, like people have been making fun of like how the swinging looks in this compared to those movies, and I'm like,
uh,
it's unfortunate. It's so good in this from what we've
yeah,
seen so far.
the colors. Like I'm gonna be honest, I feel like this is one of the better looking, at least just from the trailers. It looks like one of the best looking Marvel
Yeah,
films.
the colors pop, especially on Spider-Man suit, the red of the hand ninjas. It all really really pops out. And so I now, after finishing Daredevil season Daredevil Born Again season 2, I think I know why he's fighting the Hand in prison.
But
Because at the end of season 2 of Daredevil Born Again, Matt goes to prison.
oh right, yeah, okay,
So yeah, that's 100% why he's fighting the Hand in prison, because they're probably going after Matt, and then Spider-Man's going to go in there to help him out.
right,
Most likely, because Punisher seems to be a big part of this, it might be specifically that Punisher like gets Spider-Man to help out Matt, since they're such good friends in the show.
but he gonna
That would
bring
make the
all
most
of this
sense.
together.
Yeah,
Like
and
um,
we got to
um
really like in that hand fight scene. We see him like using his webs in a very interesting way, where he's just like spinning and shooting them and like webbing them up, and I'm like, that's cool, throwing some fun stuff with the webbing. We also get like 100% confirmation that he has organic webs now, where he like shoots his
yeah,
web shooters off, and you see like
yeah,
the webs coming out of his wrist.
right. But I think it's cool. And I'll be honest, seeing in the vibe of these trailers, this is kind of giving me a vibe of James Gunn's Superman, where it's not even necessarily like this is a story about one villain. This is just it looks like this is just a story about a day in Spider-Man's life, or like a month period in Spider-Man's life. It looks very kind of just like free form, which I think is kind of interesting, and I like that aspect from the footage we got so far.
Yeah. And the very end, that stretching scene where he's like, "I'm not a teenager anymore. I got to stretch. Do you stretch?" And I'm like, that's peak Spider-Man humor right there.
Yeah,
I mess with that. And he doesn't, or I've seen a video of it where like the face shell under the mask is different, where now you
mhm,
could like see his ears, you can see his nose and his mouth. So when he talks, you can actually see his jaw moving.
yeah,
And yeah, that's really fun. But there's a rumor that the MCU plans on like sprinkling the X-Men characters across multiple projects before having them come together, which I feel like leads a little bit more credence to Sadie Sink being Jean Grey. And I just love the fact that Jean Grey is the same age as Peter. And hopefully the rest of the OG5, Cyclops, Iceman, Angel, and Beast, are around the same age as well. My
right,
ideal roster for the X-Men movie is the OG5 plus Storm and Polaris. Polaris being Magneto's daughter, who has the exact same powers as him, and technically one of the OG X-Men. She wasn't part of the original five, but she was like one of the first people to join the team after them. And like for those of you who don't know, and we've talked about it a little bit before, like Spider-Man in the comics is like not a teenager, and he hasn't been a teenager since like the 70s. Like Spider-Man almost immediately stops being a teenager and like goes to college in the comics. And but the adaptations are so obsessed with him being a teenager to specifically sell to kids, and it's like, bro, let that man be an adult. And
yeah,
like people don't well, a lot of people just straight up don't know that the X-Men started as teenagers, and they started as teenagers the same time that Spider-Man did. Therefore, they're the same age as Spider-Man. And I like them making the X-Men, the original ones at least, the same age as Spider-Man. Like having Spider-Man be the same age as Cyclops. A lot of people perceive Cyclops to be older than Spider-Man. They also perceive Iceman to be an angel to be younger than Cyclops and Jean, and Beast to be like 20 years older than Cyclops and Jean as well. It's like, no, they're all supposed to be around the same age. And I hope we get that in this. I hope they don't make Beast an old man. Like, let Beast be a couple years
Yeah.
older than them at max.
Yeah. I feel like that's what First Class got right because all of them are in that same like
Well, First
20s
Class
age range.
is a part of like that same universe, so Beast is still like 20 years older than Cyclops and Jean and the rest of them.
Which I'm wondering how they're gonna convey the multiverse stuff and like really distinctify this X-Men from the Fox X-Men. Especially with like Beast being a part of the Marvel canon now. I'm very interested in how they're gonna do that.
Yeah, like I said, I gotta rewatch the Marvels to see if that movie is as mid as I remember it.
Some folks have went back around on it. Um, but shout out to Nia DaCosta though.
Yeah,
Shout out Nia DaCosta.
personally, I'm a fan of
Yeah,
the first Captain Marvel movie. I think the hate for that one is overblown. I like that movie.
yeah. I feel like a lot of the hate with that film was some of the same Gamergate, weirdo, racist type of critique on like woke.
Yeah. Yeah, moving on to some reviews, starting with Spider-Man Noir. Ben Riley, a seasoned, down on his luck private investigator in the 1930s in 1930s New York, is forced to grapple with his past life following a deeply personal tragedy as the city's one and only superhero. It's good. It does the
Yeah.
thing I've been talking about for the last few episodes, where it takes a
Mm.
superhero and places them into a specific genre rather than treating superhero itself as a genre, just like the OG comic did. It took Spider Man and made it a noir story.
This is that's cool.
Yeah, and
Like, yeah.
Nick Cage is great. He's mostly reserved. he's mostly not Nick Cage, but when he is Nick Cage, it's great.
Okay.
like he
that's that's a good review of him.
like he saves his Nick Cage-ness to to like just the right amount and for the right
Okay.
moments. Like it's not too much of him being weird. It's just enough. But I'm only
The
like
right amount of cage.
halfway through the season. So I don't have too much to say other than I'm really enjoying it so far. And it looks good in both black and white and color, but I've been primarily watching it in black and white and just like seeing it what it looks like in color every now and again. And it does look way better in black and white. It was clearly always meant to be black and white. And I think like Nick Cage came out and said that he suggested that they also do a color version because he feels like some kids wouldn't watch it otherwise. But
We
like,
gotta indoctrinate them. We
yeah,
gotta like
I think it's fun to have both, though. I think that's a good gimmick that helped kind of sell the show, and in terms of like just advertising.
yeah, true. Also, indoctrinate is a crazy term,
Yeah,
but we
we got to
definitely
indoctrinate the kids.
put them to black and white. Watch Kurosawa now.
You're gonna
But
sit
yeah,
down and you're gonna watch this 3 hour Seven Samurai movie.
exactly. Yeah, we are going to watch Casablanca right now.
But yeah,
Uh,
definitely suggest checking it out if you're interested. It's good so far.
okay, bet. Yeah, it looks cool. Yeah, I do think it's cool that again, everything you're saying about like making genre films based around the characters. I think it's cool that that's finally starting to become the norm a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, like honestly, I think that's what Sony should do more of with Spider-Man. Like I think they could make a connected universe and make it work. They just made some real weird decision with Venom and Morbius and shit. But I think that
Those
they should probably just start taking very specific Spider-Man storylines and just telling those and like having them be disconnected.
yeah. It's just like it feel like there's a way to do those extended universe Spider-Man films and not have it seem so like, those films are like, we are making this because we have to, yo. We need to keep this ownership of the character. We are making this to fill in time.
Yeah, they need people who actually care about the characters to work on them. I don't think any of the people working on the Morbius or Venom actually give a damn about those characters.
Right. They're not like, we need to give Morbius the justice that this character deserves.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or Craven. Forgot that one happened.
Remember that?
Yeah, like I keep saying, they need to make an Ocean's 11 style movie starring Shocker, where he's putting together a crew to rob a bank and like get away with it, despite Spider Man.
Together a team. Hey, I'll watch that.
And
I'll
it
watch.
has to be a bunch of like C tier and lower Spider Man villains. You got to get like Big Wheel and Stiltman in there.
I love that Big Wheels become a meme. It's
Yeah.
not Video Game Donkey's fault.
You gotta make a Big Wheel movie, just Big Wheel.
Just Big Wheel by himself.
Just like DC needs to make a Condiment King movie.
They need to make a Calendar Man film.
Calendar Man. See, the thing about Calendar Man is that it could be hilarious or dark or both.
Or both at the same time. Yeah.
That's like making a Victor's Ass movie.
Goodness
Like
gracious.
Calendar Man could be horrifying or hilarious. There's no in between.
Right. If they did a Zaz movie, they should get the actor that plays Shocker.
Bokeem
What's his
Woodbine?
name? No.
They gotta get Bokeem Woodbine.
My fault. I mean, that plays Scorpion.
Oh, yeah. You know what? Yeah, he actually would be good. Because I'm like, wait, why do you want Bokeem Woodbine to play Victor's ass? That's so specific.
Shout out Bokeem Woodbine, though.
Bring him back as Shocker in like the actual costume.
Yeah.
That's who I want to see return. That's who I want to see return from that first Spider-Man movie is Bokeem Woodbine.
Also, is Donald Glover as
Man,
Aaron? Is that just?
they're not gonna do that until Miles show up. I bet.
Yeah. I wonder if they're just gonna leave it with the Spider-Verse cameo and say, "Okay, y'all happy now?"
Nah, they'll probably bring him back once they introduce Miles. Because you can't really, because if they introduce Miles into the MCU, you can't do Miles without Uncle Aaron, and they already have an Uncle Aaron. I don't see them recasting him, and I doubt he's going to say no to the absolutely ungodly amount of money they're going to throw at him.
Right. And it's like, character exists because of him partially.
So yeah.
Yeah. Quick aside, how do you feel about the potentiality of a Miles Morales live action film, and do you think that it has a tall order to fill, considering first Miles Morales films are some of the best films ever made?
No, because those are all multiverse movies, and I want just a Miles Morales movie. Like I just want Miles Morales being Spider-Man in New York. I don't need always need every Miles Morales movie to be Miles Morales in a different universe. Like no, just give me a Miles movie.
I feel you.
I think that's the niche it could carve out, is that it's just a Miles movie. It's not a multiverse movie.
Yeah. This is a very popular debate. It's just like his hot dog or sandwich. Should Miles say nigga?
Absolutely. I mean, he's not going to, because it's a Disney movie. And like, I don't know, man. They let Star-Lord say fuck in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and it was hilarious. You seen Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3?
I haven't seen it, but
You
I've
gotta
seen
watch
that.
it. Yeah, when like they're trying to open the door and he says, "Open the fucking door," and I was like, "Whoa!"
I was like, oh my god.
I was watching that movie with my mom, and I was like, "Oh man, mom, I'm sorry. I didn't know they were going to curse like that."
Right.
Like, yeah, I don't know. Everybody gets one.
Miles gets one nigga. He gets one. So they got to really think about where they put it in the film.
Like in comics, when characters curse, they like use random like characters, like hashtags and like at symbols and stuff to like disguise the curse. But it always will be. I hate it because it will always be more letters than the actual word that they're actually trying to use. So you never know what word they're actually trying to use, and several words could fit in there. And in the Miles Morales comics, they use it, but when they use it, no matter how many letters it is, you know they're saying nigga. Every single time you're like, they're saying nigga. But like, yeah, I'm definitely of the mind that we need Miles to be saying the N-word.
I
It's
agree.
a, it's a necessity. I need Miles to say it. I need Black Panther to say it. I need Captain America to say it. Not Steve. Uh, I'm sure Steve
you,
said it before,
you
but
probably did say.
and I'm sure he said it and like wasn't trying to be disrespectful because low-key Steve's not racist. Okay, at the end of the day, we can all agree Steve's not racist, but he probably has said it before. he just
What is that one?
he grew up in
Sorry,
that time where it's just like
he,
it was just a word.
right, like that. What's that one X-Men character that says it repeatedly?
Oh, it was fucking Kitty Pryde.
Kitty Pryde, yeah.
Where somebody was like I don't know, being racist towards her because she's Jewish, and then she said, "How would you like it if I said?" And then she just said it.
I was like, whoa.
And I was like, "Oh, Kitty, he didn't even say anything racist. You just wanted to say the word."
Like he just wanted to get that off.
And like, yeah, she said it multiple times. It was crazy. Yeah, she just wanted to get that off. She just had to get that off her chest. But moving on to the Mandalorian and Grogu. Not much more to say than I said last time, but I did want to talk about it a little bit with you because I'm sure you've heard about this movie and how people think about it. I liked it. I enjoyed it. It was a back to basics thrill ride, and that's all I really needed it to be. All of the interesting stuff they could have done with Dijon and Grogu was already squandered with the Book of Boba Fett's premature reunion. So I just wanted more bounty hunting and Grogu shenanigans, and that's what I got. It was funny and action packed, and that's all I was looking for because my bar for the Mandalorian is in hell after Book of Boba Fett and season 4. So, I wasn't expecting much, so I got what I wanted, and it was a good time. And it felt like half a season of the show, and it absolutely would have been much better if it was a season of the show, and that additional content that it's missing was served to actually give it a story and have there be actual character arcs and development. Because this was just set piece to set piece, and that's about it. And there was like no story. It's fun. It's a fun watch. I think if you were to sit down and watch it, you would have a good time and be like, Star Wars, and that's about it. That's all it is. Nothing more than that. Also something interesting that I don't know if they did this with Mandalorian, but they credit both Pedro Pascal and the 2 suit actors in the cast, and I thought that was cool.
That is pretty cool.
Like at the very top, it goes Pedro Pascal, and then his stunt actor and his like just non-stunt actor who wears the suit, and I thought that was really cool. But yeah,
It is cool.
just a fun movie.
Okay.
That's about it. Masters Universe. I also liked it. It was a good movie. When we first heard about it and started getting set photos, I was so afraid that it would be a reverse isekai where Adam is sent to Earth and the whole story takes place there. But that only lasts about like 20 minutes. And even before that, we get stuff on Eternia, then we go to Earth, and then we go back. And the vast majority of the movie takes place on Eternia. And the story was very much basic and straightforward, as you would expect from He-Man, to be honest. But the performances and the action really carried the film. The action is really good. The fight scenes are great. Like you see a bit of it in the trailer. I feel like a lot of people watch the trailers and went, "Wait a minute, why the action look so good?" And it's really good. Especially the last fight scene with He-Man versus Skeletor was really good. And the story itself, it follows Prince Adam, who was sent to Earth as a child alongside the Sword of Power after Skeletor usurps the throne of Eternia to keep it out of Skeletor's hand. And 15 years later, Adam is found by his childhood friend Tila and has to return to Eternia to help them take the planet back from Skeletor. And Nicholas Galazine was a good Adam, and He-Man, of course. And the same goes for Camila Mendez as Tila, who I know from Riverdale, and Idris Elba played Man-at-Arms. He was really good as well. And despite how much he sucks as a person, Jared Leto was unfortunately a good Skeletor. And he was the right amount of menacing and goofy, which goes to show that if he wasn't being a weirdo method actor and the movie was better written and directed, he honestly could have been a good Joker. But unfortunately, I feel like just
Don't even
he
get me started on
he
it.
I feel like he is his problem when it came to the Joker because he has what it takes to be a good Joker. He just decided to be weird. But
Yeah.
also on top of the fact, like I don't think he was the person who decided to have damage tattooed across his forehead or for him to be dressed up like this fake thug. Like I don't think those were his decisions. But the decisions he did actively make did also detract from how cool he could have been as the Joker.
Yeah.
But like Skeletor was fun. And we unfortunately didn't get Orko or Battle Beast until the very end.
Mm.
Likely because they were both entirely CGI. And if we were to get a sequel, I hope that Orko is a puppet, like a full, just straight up puppet that's being, um, I mean, puppeted, duh, but like a mechanical puppet. Because I feel like Orko, he's the perfect size to just be that, and he's just this floating wizard dude. Um, but speaking of a sequel, it's hard to tell if we'll get one because of how much this film has grossed in comparison to how much it cost. It has only grossed 84 million worldwide against a nearly 200 million production budget, according to Variety.
Yes.
But where the hope comes in is that one of the producers is a huge Masters of the Universe fan with very deep pockets, who may just keep the franchise going out of nostalgia alone. But do you care about spoilers? Because I want to talk about the post credits.
I don't mind spoilers. It's all good.
So the post credits were like very surprising for like hardcore fans who like know the lore. Not necessarily the lore of this. I mean, yes, the lore of the series, but also kind of just the lore around the rights issues surrounding some of these characters. Because at the end, we get a tease for She-Ra, which was very surprising because there has been a rights issue with the character for so long that has kept She-Ra and He-Man from being in the same project together for decades. She-Ra is He-Man's sister in the world of Master of the Universe, so it's crazy that they just haven't been able to cross over for so long. Um, because the original owners, Maytel, they own her name, trademark, and all physical merchandising rights, but they sold the TV and film adaptation rights to DreamWorks and NBC. So, or NBC Universal. So it seems like they're finally playing ball with each other now. So
Okay.
either she's going to show up in the sequel, assuming we get one, or my preference is that she gets her own movie, and then the third movie they cross over.
Okay.
But also, this means that she'll likely finally show up in the He-Man cartoon on Netflix, which they did tease her at the very end with Hordak, which is her like main villain at the end of the
Okay.
last season. So she'll probably show up in the next season of that, assuming that's happening. Because I don't think I've heard anything about that. It's like directed and written by or partially written by Kevin Smith, and it's really good. I like that He-Man show, and it's meant to be like a direct continuation of the original series.
Okay.
And did like the lack of She-Ra made it weird because she exists within that original universe, but now maybe she actually will show up, and that's cool. So I'm glad they're finally playing ball. It's weird that these two characters, these siblings, have not been able to interact with each other for so
Right.
long. But the fact that they directly not just mentioned her, they show her at the end credits is like, oh, they figured it out. Now they're finally working together. Let's go. We're finally going to get those two characters together.
So random lore. I looked up She-Ra. She-Ra was co-created by J. Michael Straczynski.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I just looked that up. That is insane. But see, full circle, Spider-Man. It just
Yeah,
all everything's linked.
that doesn't. Yeah, just having a comic book writer work on that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. But some there was like a Forbes article that's saying that it's set for a sequel, but that is a very vague sentence. But yeah,
I hope it gets a sequel. I liked it. I could
yeah,
see a sequel being much better. Like if I'm being honest, as much as I'd like for them to do a trilogy where it's like She-Ra gets a movie, and then we get the crossover, it's probably just going to be the next movie is going to be the crossover, and that just makes the most sense.
yeah. And it's like if they manage to get another film of this off the ground, that would be surprising because it's just honestly, I'm surprised this film got greenlit because Masters of the Universe is
I think it was
extreme
because
niche.
of
Niche.
Barbie. I
What
think
was it because of?
I think it's because of Barbie.
Oh shoot, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, we finna get that GI Joe and Jim and the Hologram show or film soon.
Here's the thing. Look, man, GI Joe could be lit. They just keep fucking it up.
Yeah, they tried. Some of the fight scenes in the GI Joe joints are cool, but yeah,
Every fight scene with Snake Eyes is the best thing you've ever seen in your entire life.
yeah, yeah. So much so that they tried to make the owns. They tried to
God.
make an independent Snake Eyes film.
And it could have been good, but it wasn't. And I was so mad. I watched that movie with my friends and I was upset. I was sitting there like, man, I'm sorry I dragged you guys out here to watch this movie with me. I thought it was going to be good.
I didn't see it.
It's
Dang,
don't. It's not worth it.
that sucks.
It's crazy. They had Andrew Koji as Storm Shadow. I was so excited for that movie.
Yeah.
But lastly, in terms of TV and film, we have Obsession, which got an extended theatrical run after earning 25 million worldwide on a budget of 750,000, the complete opposite of Massive Universe, which allowed me to see it in theaters because it was extended, and it was one of the scariest movies I've ever seen. Uh, for those that don't know, I said Inception. Obsession is basically about a man who wishes on a monkey's paw for his crush to like him, resulting in her liking him a bit too much. Have you seen it?
I have not seen it yet,
You gotta
but
see
I am.
Inception, bro.
Yeah, that's what I hear, man. Like this moment in cinema is very cool. Um, yeah, I do need to see it. And again, this is my problem. It's the screenwriter in me. I am so impatient, and sometimes I'll just look up plot details before I even see the film, like a crazy person. Um,
It's very good. It's first off, it was filmed, or well, I don't know. The movie is in 4:3. It's strange when the movie
for
starts and it's in 4:3, and you're like, huh? Why is
the
this?
entire time.
I'm like, why am I watching this movie like it's on a goddamn CRT TV?
I
And
don't know.
eventually you just forget about it by the end. But yeah, the whole movie is in 4:3.
I did not know that.
And it was a very interesting choice, and it worked. I mean, after a while, you just don't notice it. But the movie itself tells a very interesting story about low key like toxic masculinity and consent. Um, and it does in a way that doesn't let the woman being victimized be the villain, and instead they make it clear that she's a victim. And anybody that walks away from this movie thinking otherwise weren't paying attention and are part of the problem that's being tackled. But I don't want to say much more than that because it would be just spoiling everything. Like that's already saying too much. Like you just you gotta watch it. A lot of the horror comes from anticipation and just the viewer imagining the worst thing that could happen because there's a lot of use of like darkness and the main woman in the movie, Indy, I don't know how to pronounce that last name, Navarre, I think. They do this thing that's very similar to how they do the vampire's eyes and Sinners, where there's like a glint in it, and they do it a lot where she's just covered in shadow, and you just see like this glint in her eye, and it's very creepy. And like, yeah, it's that anticipation, but it doesn't nothing. Sometimes, how do I put it? Most of the time, nothing happens. So when something does happen, it hits like a brick. And yeah, it's overall incredible movie, and I couldn't recommend it more. Yeah,
That's I did not know it was in 4:3. That is very the fact that it's a film with a $750,000 budget, shot in 4:3, and it's arguably the biggest film of the year so far, or at least the most discussed film of this year. I think that that's pretty daggone cool. And the fact that behind that is backrooms. I think that yeah, it's thinking about where cinema used to be, where I believe it was in the 70s, like either in the 60s or the 70s, writer strikes happened, the blockbuster era of like film companies owning theaters was ending and basically like collapsing. And from that, Hollywood studios being desperate and giving money to college students who, we're George Lucas, Steven Spielberg, Coppola, Scorsese, and then we get the films from that period. Um, and then eventually like Spike, and then John Singleton in the '80s. Um, I think that the idea of a new like 20 something dominated film industry could be very cool, and I hope that that happens with all of my heart. I think we need it. I feel like Hollywood deserves a new generation of like just young original film voices. And it especially in the streaming era, just the way that like IP is being brought up, streaming companies are being brought up, is very similar to how blockbusting was destroying cinema back then. Because like it was just like Man Bear or like Robot Car. Like it was just like random films and B movies being made. And a lot of it was just garish and bad. And then the Cinema Brad era hit. So
Yeah, I
I think,
hear,
yeah.
people trying to throw some crazy money at Curry Parker to make that next movie. Which, by the way, kept seeing the name, knew who the director was, looked him up, saw his face, and I was like, "Oh, that guy!
Yeah.
That's who directed this. I know this guy from memes. He made
Exactly.
this. What is up? What is it up with these like internet comedians going on to make horror movies? Like, what was that other one from the dudes from New Zealand?
Oh,
From
Raka
last
Raka.
year? Yeah. The movie they
Yeah.
made. I'm like, what's up with that? I mean, it's
Yeah.
low key similar to like how like Key and Peele, right? Went on to make those horror movies. Like, what's up with these
Exactly.
comedians going on to make the scariest movies known to man?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is interesting. Yeah. Because it's like, I feel like there is that intersection between like the unexpected in comedy and horror. Also, there's this interesting thing where a lot of comedians are cinema buffs.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, low
even
key, a
in,
lot of comedians, not a lot. I'm not going to say a lot, but a fair amount of comedians like want to be actors, but they like ended up pursuing comedy. Not to say it's like lesser than or anything, but this is like their path to comedy wasn't necessarily with always with the intention of wanting to do comedy. It was with the intention of wanting to be an actor, but then they realized that they were just a good performer and wanted to and ended up doing comedy. Like most
right.
famously, currently, like John Marco Ceresi, very much theater kid, talks about that a lot.
Mm. Wait, who was the name? What was the name you just
John
said?
Marco Ceresi.
Mm. Oh yeah, yeah. Um, I think another example that immediately comes to mind is Bill Hader.
Yeah,
Um, everything that he did with Barry, where it was like, oh, I feel like comedy was just a thing you fell into. um, and of course Donald Glover for sure, like in regards to the way that he approaches writing. Yeah, I feel like there's a very cool intersection between film and comedy and like artwar cinema. Um, got to say artwar to sound fancy, but yeah, like it's very interesting. And also, I can't stand when these mainstream news platforms are saying terms like YouTuber and stuff like that because I feel like they're saying YouTuber the
there's something like
same
a
way that
slur.
yeah, exactly. It's like they're saying YouTuber the same way that some of these news channels say the term rapper. Like it's that same kind of like ugh. It's like I I
Like
feel like
they paint all YouTubers with the same brush. Was like there's such a plethora of different types of content on YouTube, and there's a lot of YouTubers I watch who do a lot of just like sketches and stuff like that, or just short films, not even just comedy sketches that are legitimately like just incredible. And I'm like, damn, you need to be making movies. And now we
no that
have some of them making movies.
no exactly like shoot Jacob Geller could technically be considered a YouTuber, but he is a
He's an essayist.
yeah, he is an essayist and like approaches video games through an academic lens that is like second to none. But to call him a YouTuber, it just feels very reductive. And yeah, I feel like with the Kane Parsons of the world, um, shoot. I mean, shoot, Zach Kreger with being whitest kids you know, like him
Mhm.
coming from that platform to going into humor. I think that's another comedy horror example. But yeah, I feel like with a lot of these folks coming from YouTube and going into film, it goes to show that like YouTube
Yeah,
isn't a type of
you low
content;
key.
it's a platform for content.
Yeah, you low key gotta have a sense of humor to make this fucked up stuff because otherwise you're just gonna be depressed all the time. Hey guys, Dijon here with another solo review. This time for Supergirl. So a few days ago, as of recording, me and fellow co-host Bree went to go see Supergirl with a few friends, and it was okay. Not bad, but not good either. Maybe for the average viewer, this may be a slightly more enjoyable experience, but as someone who read the comic, both back when it came out and for this very podcast, if you want to go back and watch those episodes of the comic section, it was aggressively okay. A very cookie cutter comic book movie, unfortunately. But it had potential to be so much more. This is one of the few live action adaptations from one of the big two comic publishers, which are DC and Marvel, that attempts to be faithful to the comic it's adapting while trying to make it fit into an interconnected universe. Of course, there have been several indie live action comic book adaptations that have been super faithful to the comic, or at least attempts to be, and are good. But you don't see it from DC and Marvel very often. When Marvel tried it, they failed too. But they failed for the exact same reason Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow failed. Kinda. And because, I say kinda because Thor Love and Thunder was really nothing like the comic. The problem with Supergirl is that it is very much like the comic. And because it does resemble the comic so closely, the flaws are more apparent for people who have read the source material. The comic it's based on is Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, written by Tom King and drawn by Bilquis Evely, and it is one of my favorite comics of all time. But the movie removes everything that makes that story what it is in an attempt to make it fit into the new DCU. And the thing is, they didn't need to do that. They could have had this movie be super faithful while still making it fit into the DCU. At the very least, even if they changed the story and adaptation, they should have kept the visuals the same, or as close as possible. The art in Woman of Tomorrow, which I'll throw up on screen, by Bilquis Evely, is colorful and vibrant. Space isn't just a black void, it's bursting with color, very much like, DC Studio Head's very own Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy over at Marvel. And the design of the world Supergirl visits and the aliens she meets are just as unique and also very similar to that of Guardians. That comic did come out after, I think, both Guardians and Guardians 2. So there was probably some actual, direct influence there. It's insane to me that Guardians of the Galaxy wasn't the blueprint for this movie visually. I believe that if this was at least prettier to look at, the reviews would be much higher because the story was mid. But if you paired those mid story with beautiful visuals, I think people would have walked away much higher on the movie overall. But as it stands, the movie is a 3 out of 5 for me. If I'm being honest, maybe I might bump that down to a 2.5 out of 5 on my personal scale. It was disappointing. It was very disappointing, especially with such a strong outing with Superman. I think that James Gunn should have also directed this movie because I think that if James Gunn also directed this one, like I said, it would be prettier. It would be more akin to Guardians. And it's sad that all the pieces to make this a perfect adaptation were there, and they fumbled. They fumbled bad. Yeah. We'll get even deeper, and we'll talk spoilers, and we'll give a lot of direct comparisons about a month from now in the next TV and film section of the podcast. With Bree there to give her 2 piece. So thanks for listening. But yeah, kind of wrapping things up with some video game discussions rather than TV and film, because of course we record TV and film section together. But I would have you're gonna be on the next episode, which is gonna be a gaming focused episode. But I didn't want to do this on that episode because that episode is probably gonna be very long because we're gonna be talking about every single thing alongside Aya. that was announced at Summer Games Fest, the PlayStation State of Play, the Xbox Game Showcase, and the Nintendo Direct. And depending on whatever pops up in between now and then, we might talk about that too. And of course, there's been a bunch of news with Xbox being Xbox. So we're going to talk about that as well. So instead, we're going to talk about 007 First Light right now. I, of course, gave my own little short personal spoiler free review a couple episodes ago. So we're going to go full spoilers from the top, from the get go. So spoiler alert, if you do not want to be spoiled about anything regarding 007 First Light, we're going to spoil everything. So what are just your top level thoughts before we get granular for 007 First Light?
Yeah. Goodness gracious, man. One of the best AAA experiences I've had in a while. Just a very good, just well structured, well paced single player game that I finished in 4 days because I was just every time I was not playing it, I was thinking about playing it again.
Same.
Yeah, it's just like goodness gracious, man. The perfect intersection between combat, level design, storytelling, good voice performances, and graphically it's not a slouch either. Um yeah, it just
Everything
I don't even
about
think
it
yeah.
is just like it's surprising because you play Hitman because this is made by IO Interactive, and you go like, okay, like Hitman is very clearly heavily inspired by James Bond, and you're like,
Right.
okay, I do want these people to make a James Bond game, but are they going to be able to hit the story? Are they going to be able to do the set pieces? Like we've never seen them do those things. Their stories aren't the best thing in the world. Their set pieces aren't incredible, but whether it's people internally that they already had or new hires, they did it. They blew both out of the water in terms of writing a James Bond story and doing these big action like Uncharted style set pieces.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I don't even know where to start, man. Well, yeah,
Well,
we can definitely talk about some of
yeah.
the themes
So
and what
like,
they
I mean, I said it in my personal review, and I told you this when we had our own discussion about it. But like, it's the Uncharted game you didn't know that you wanted. You know,
exactly.
Uncharted 2 Among Thieves is my favorite game of all time, and I love
Mm,
stealth espionage games and James Bond in general. So this is the perfect blend of things that I love, and it does it blends them very well. You know, just starting with the gameplay before we get into the story. Um, you know, leading up to the release, I played the entirety of the Hitman Assassination trilogy for the first time. I actually played the Wiz Khalifa mission last week. The what do they call those? I forget, but yeah, I did that one.
like
It was
I
interesting.
forget. Yeah, like
um,
assassination or something like that.
yeah, but yeah, it was it was an interesting mission where
Mm,
I don't even want to bring it up, but it was low key them kind of replacing a previous mission that unfortunately starred Conor McGregor that they removed from the game after a bunch of stuff came
I'm
out.
glad they really
So they
I'm glad.
essentially kind of took those assets and instead did Wiz Khalifa instead. Thank God. And they heavily use Black and Yellow. It's playing in the background the entire time. It's very funny.
Okay.
Like that's
I
the
hope Wiz
only
Khalifa
song he's ever made.
right.
It would have been funny if they played "See You" again, but especially given the context of you have to assassinate him.
Oh, quick side thing. This don't gotta be in the episode. If you want to listen to a good hip hop mixtape, the out funny enough, Darian put me on to it. It's called Kush and OJ. One of the best mixtapes from that 2010s blog era. Like Wiz Khalifa, he's rapping.
Okay,
He is really
okay.
rapping. So Kush and
Sometimes,
OJ.
sometimes they just be rapping harder on the mixtapes because I feel like the main albums are like pop. You know, they have to be poppy. They got to be like accessible to everyone. But the
Yeah,
mixtapes, if you're really into to just rap it as an art form, the mixtapes is where you got to go.
yeah, man. Yeah. Shout out Wiz Khalifa.
Yeah, yeah. So you know, it's the gameplay, the combat of 007 First Light is mostly like a pared down iteration of the Hitman style. So you don't take people's clothing and disguise yourself as them, and you know you can't hide bodies or move them around, which I wish you could. And instead, you're either just Bond or a very specific disguise. And that works, I think, for James Bond, and is extremely fun. But the one key feature that they add that the Hitman games don't have is the bluff, which is them
Yeah.
gamifying James Bond's charisma, which is really cool. You can just walk into an area that you're not supposed to be, and you have a focus bar that you can use a portion of to bluff, and it like people for a quick second will be convinced that you're supposed to be there, and break line of sight and go do what you need to do. But yeah, what did you think of the gameplay, the combat specifically?
Yeah. On the stealth front, or at least on like the social interaction front,
Yeah, stealth social interaction.
yeah, that bluff mechanic, the fake surrender mechanic, I thought that that was lovely. That was such a cool idea. Cause yeah, like there was some folks that were expecting it or even wanted it to be an Agent 47 game with a James Bond reskin, but James Bond is an Agent 47. He's not silent, personalityless assassin. He's not this cold hardened guy. James Bond has been through a lot of traumatic stuff,
But
but
not yet in this game.
yeah, goodness, a lot of things in this game. But like, he is a personality. He's a charming and just he has a lot of heart. Like he's a character that has a lot of heart and is very witty and very cunning. And like instead of just making him this cold, like very quantitative and like get things done spy, they're like, you know what, let's give him a bluff mechanic because this dude is a talker. I thought that's like the gameplay reflects the character, which is what I think is very cool. In regards to the social interaction stuff. And I like the fact that it wasn't as nitty gritty as the other Hitman games are, because it doesn't really need to be. Again, like James Bond is an Agent 47, so he shouldn't play like Agent 47. Um, and also, this is my question for you. Do you think that 007 First Light solved the Ludo narrative dissonance?
I am a person who is unaffected by Ludo narrative dissonance. I
Yeah.
think that it's stupid. At the end of the day, these are video games. Like you just got to accept that they're video games, and
Yeah.
not expect for every single aspect of a video game to 100% immerse you. Like you're not playing it in VR. You're not living the person live. You're not like feeling the pain. Like yeah, there's always gonna be a disconnect because you're not the person. You're a real person playing a fake game. Like there's
Right.
always going to be dissonance. I think little narrative dissonance is stupid.
Oh, I agree with you. Yeah, I think.
I
Yeah,
think the conversation around it is stupid. Like it's a real thing, but like the way people talk about it is weird.
yeah, and I feel like there's rightful reasons to criticize Neil Druckmann and Naughty Dog, but I do think that people kind of latched on a little narrative dissonance, or some people genuinely use it as a criticism, but I think that a lot of folks just use that as a term to Trojan horse their misogyny
Yeah,
and anti wokeness.
I think yeah. Sometimes people, because it's a video game and you control it, some people don't like the fact that the person is telling a very specific story and they don't necessarily want you to have control over the story. Like The Last of Us Part 2, I love that game. It is trying to tell a very specific story. Like you being able to change the story is not the point of the story. And some people just can't accept that.
Yeah,
And that's fine if that's not your thing, but like don't play that game then because that game is trying to tell a very specific story and either you like it or you don't.
yeah. Which that leads to my question: how do you feel about the license to kill aspect and that gunplay
I think
only pops up
I
when
made
like
it harder than I needed to. We talked about how I didn't realize how kind of OP the throwing the guns at people was
yes,
because it gives you a free takedown every single time, and I didn't notice that until the very end of the game. So I made those parts harder for me than they needed to be because you can die very quickly in those sections, but
yes,
the moment realize you can just run and gun, you run out of ammo, don't reload, throw the gun at the person's forehead, and then take them down, and then take their gun, and then do it all over again. That is how you're supposed to play the game. You're never supposed to stop moving. I would stop moving and be in cover like it's goddamn Gears of War. And I'm like, no, I need to keep moving. And I didn't realize that until later. So yeah, I think the license to kill parts are fun. I think you know what I think there's no, this was later in the game. It was when you're in Vietnam that I noticed it, that I finally figured out. Oh yeah, this is what you need to do. Like towards the end of that
Mhm.
mission, that
Yeah.
when I was just running through, throwing my gun, knocking people out, then kept running on one section, that I was like, oh yeah, this is how you're supposed to do it.
Mhm. Yeah.
But yeah,
Which
just talking about the gunplay in general, like this is the best I think combination of gunplay and hand to hand combat I've ever experienced in a game. I think it's
yeah.
everything that I hope the next Uncharted is. And the gunplay and hand to hand combat in like Hitman isn't the best. Like you're not meant to like that's not how you're meant to play the
That's
game.
the point.
So
Yeah.
like that's one of the concerns people had about this game. Like, are they gonna be able to do good gunplay and melee combat? And then they ended up doing the best combination of gunplay and melee combat in any
Oh,
game I've ever
oh,
played.
yeah.
Yeah, the smoothness in which you can just go from shooting, you run out of ammo, you throw the gun, you attack them, and pick up a new gun. It's crazy.
Right. And that's the thing that's interesting. There's a game, the Bourne Identity game that was made. It's a very niche game, but there is a community that really loves that game. There's a full-on light and heavy attack combat system in it, along with third-person mechanics. The combat is pretty decent, but the gunplay is terrible. It manages to have a great combat system and a solid shooting system, and do both of them like with like they both weave in and out of each other in a way that's pretty seamless. And yeah, one of my main critiques with the Uncharted games, which love the Uncharted games, the melee combat is such an afterthought. Like it really is like brawler based combat. And I feel like here it's a cool mix between one of the main gameplay comparisons I would make, Sleeping Dogs. Like, it reminds me a lot of the combat system in
Yes,
Sleeping
it
Dogs.
does. Which, damn, now I'm thinking about it. If we ever get another Sleeping Dogs, this is the type of combat I want because you don't get to use a lot of guns in Sleeping Dogs. But if you did, this is how I would want it to be.
Yeah, yeah, man. Cause it's like it's little bit of the Arkham base in regards to like that counter attack system, but it's combo based as well, and also the environmental interactability on top of the physics. Like that's one of the things I will say. Just about everything in this game is destructible,
Yeah.
which makes combat feel even better. Um, so yeah, it's like little bit of Sleeping Dogs, little bit of Arkham, little bit of some of the best Assassin Creeds, um, little bit of
So Mad Max, not Mad
yeah.
Max,
Oh,
Max Payne. Max Payne is
I'm
what I
gonna
meant to
say
say.
Mad Max.
Not Mad
I'm gonna say
Max. Mad
Mad
Max.
Max representation.
I hear that game's good, but yeah, it's a
Yeah.
little bit of Max Payne in there too, especially with the like slowing down time.
Yes, for
And
sure.
my biggest criticism of the combat would be the gadget selection is very small, and you're
Oh,
not,
for
and because there's a two gadget minimum per mission, or I guess maximum, um, you don't feel encouraged to use anything other than like the laser and the dart phone, and later on, I used the rocket pen a lot. Outside
yeah.
of that, I didn't use anything else. I think I might have switched like towards the end when I knew it was like an action focused thing. I think I used the camera, but otherwise, you don't feel encouraged to use anything other than dart phone, laser. I feel like the laser is a necessity because you otherwise like there are several things I'm like, how would you do this without the laser? Like you can, but like, why would you?
Exactly.
I feel like they need one like way more gadgets, but also like allow you to. I think they should just do what Hitman does and allow you to have everything at once. Like, why limit me? Let me have everything. I feel like there's no good reason,
Yeah.
or at
Oh
least
yeah.
give me more. Like, have four.
Right. And also, the gadget inventory goes down so fast. I know
Yeah,
that like the levels have batteries and like chemicals and stuff, but it's like you use your gadget 2 to 3 times and you're already empty. So I wish that
I wish there was
gadget,
like a upgrade system for the gadgets.
Yeah.
to like have them
Or
use less resources or can hold, or like your watch can hold more stuff. Like I don't know. I feel like some type of upgrade system for the gadget would be cool.
even if it like recharged slower, something like
Yeah,
that.
like a recharge versus having to pick up resources would be great.
Hmm.
Like a cooldown instead. But I guess you could then just spam it if you did that, and that's why they give you resources instead.
Right. It was like they didn't want to let people get full Watchdog style with it.
Yeah. Uh, this has become my gold standard for this style of combat, and Uncharted 5 has a lot to live up to now in terms of combat specifically. But going to the story. The story is very much your standard Bond affair, but done very well. And also because it's early days Bond, it's a type of Bond we haven't really seen. Like the movies don't really touch on Bond at the beginning of his career like that. So that is novel in of itself. Like the overall story is very standard, but it's being told from a perspective that we don't usually get in Bond, which is really cool. And it does the AI taking over the world storyline better than a lot of things, including the last two Mission Impossible movies. Uh,
Yeah.
Blessing from Kind of Funny Games and their spoiler cast for the game from a couple days ago's recording said that this is a story not about AI taking over the world, but what people in power are willing to do to make sure AI is successful because they have so much
Hmm.
money invested into it, which is
Right.
very much reflective of the real world, which I love.
Yeah.
AI
And that's
isn't as great as everybody's saying it is. The AI in this game turned out to be flawed, and they're instead trying to work to make it seem like it is
right.
because they just invested so much money into this thing that they should have just took slow and steady instead of trying to force it down everybody's throat for the sake of making more money.
Yeah. That's a very good reading of it. Yeah. Not just an AI. It's not just an AI bad story. It's the way in which people are trying to force it into being the future is bad. And yeah, the ways that people will jump hoops and say that like it's the future, we got to deal with it, or this is the way that it's done. Um, yeah, I feel like it's definitely a critique of that, and also an embrace of it's like even when the odds are not in your favor, you can still try and still have heart, which I think they use AI as a way to directly foil James Bond, who
Yeah,
is the type of character
and I feel like
that,
they
yeah,
low-key use like Bond to foil AI and be like, hey, yeah, this is why humans are good because like was the reason Bond gets hired or offered to join MI6 is because they're like M believes that humans are still needed to do certain things because they're going to make decisions that AI just can't. And that is very much what everybody who's against AI is trying to say.
right. But yeah, it just it it further proves why having a heart is necessary and is important, and also talks about some ways. And this doesn't drift away from AI, but I mean, why am I why am I forgetting the name of the character? That's crazy.
Moneypenny, Greenway.
Oh, Greenway. Like when Greenway was like, "Don't let spy work change you." Like it really does kind of nail home that like James Bond isn't just a loose cannon. He is an innately human and emotional person. And like that's what makes him a great agent.
Yeah, and like Greenway, Lenny James, first off, is incredible as Greenway. And
Lovely.
yeah, Greenway's relationship with Bond was great, where he initially hates him because he feels like he doesn't. Well, one, he's just insubordinate all the time, and he doesn't like
Yeah.
that. But also, it's due to the fact that like Greenway's his whole backstory is great, where he killed his fellow agents because the AI told him to, because the AI said that they were evil, but it turns out no, the AI was wrong, and it was using the the essentially the killing of the agents to like cover something up. So he killed his fellow agents, some of which were his friends, listening to an AI that was wrong. And then another one of his good friends, 009, was trying to warn him and tell him like, "Hey, I I found a way to prove that this was wrong." And when he found them, he was dead, and he didn't even get the opportunity to. I don't even know if Greenway could apologize for that, but like, like yeah,
Right.
it was crazy. And Greenway slowly across the course of the game seemingly kind of is returning to who he used to be, which who he used to be was much more similar to Bond before he kind of like lost himself. Like he's trying to like get Bond not to do because he kind of just trusted this robot and he just became a person who follows orders where Bond isn't that. And presumably Greenway wasn't that at some point. And he's like, Bond, don't lose that. Like your instincts, you being a human is very important to this job. Never lose that.
Right. Yeah, and also again the interesting parallels because yeah, Greenway had to kill his fellow agents, and James Bond or James he lost his fellow agents. Like he lost his double O's as well. So it's like they both are the last one standing in a way.
Yeah, and it's never confirmed, but I have a feeling that Greenway was 007 before Bond.
Yeah, that's the vibe it's giving off.
Yeah. At the end, he takes up 007 because he was the seventh recruit, but I feel like they should have been like, oh, Greenway was 007, so I'm going to be 007, and I'm the seventh recruit.
Right.
But yeah, it makes sense the way they did it, though. But yeah, Greenway's so good. He's one of the best characters in the game. Him and his relationship with Bond is great. But also, I really like Moneypenny, and I like how they kind of like subvert what we're used to with Moneypenny, where Moneypenny in the original movies with Sean Connery is very much always like she's like in love with Bond, and Bond is always like teasing her, but like never actually taking it anywhere. And in this one, they very clearly make it clear like no, there's nothing there. There's no
Right.
romantic chemistry there. Bond like tries a little bit initially, but then she very quickly tells him nah, and then he's like okay. And like
Right.
first and foremost, unlike those early Bond movies, this Bond isn't a creep.
Yeah.
And instead, they more so have people pursue him less so than him pursuing people. Like he walks into a room, he's handsome, people are immediately smitten, and then from there he kind of like does his thing, and it never feels like he's forcing himself on anyone, which unfortunately happens in some of those early Bond movies. Like
Yeah.
it's done in a very respectful way to where it's like, yeah, he's just a handsome guy who is charming, and he's just charming these people, and yeah, money. I said this in a conversation you had. I feel like this is the most beautiful version of Moneypenny to ever exist, despite the fact that Naomi Harris played her at one point, and obviously Naomi Harris is beautiful. But like, it's just it was distracting every time Moneypenny was on screen. I was like, why, like, Moneypenny, what's happening? Especially that mission after. It was funny when he like calls her and she's on a date, and he's like, yeah, no, forget all that. I need your help right now.
I need your help
Yeah,
now.
and just their relationship overall was great. I really loved their back and forth, and it needed to be because she's in your ear a lot of the. I almost called it a movie. That's how good it is. A lot of the
Right.
game, it felt like you were playing a movie.
It did. And not in a way where it's like the game plays itself.
Yeah, exactly. You're
It
still playing the game, but the story it feels like a James Bond movie. You are playing as James Bond in a movie
right.
versus you're just watching the gameplay itself.
Right. And yeah, all of the set pieces here, there's a lot of player agency involved because the mechanics are very deep. So at no point does it feel like the game is ever playing itself. It's like, no, I am doing everything here. I'm using this environment in my way.
Yeah.
Because there's so many interactions where it's like, oh, I could just melee everyone here. Or I could do a mix of gunplay and like melee, or just strictly gunplay.
Yeah, I like
Um,
that you could like I like the situations like contained moments where like you could like something could break out, but if it's in an isolated enough area, you could knock the people out, and then that situation is contained, and like your cover isn't completely blown.
right. Yeah, that aspect is very cool. Especially with the The fact that enemies can call reinforcements and stuff like that, which has been in other games, but Situation Contain that ability to just like nip certain like interactions in combat in the bud, that was very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like was it Isla Roth, played by Naomi Nakai. Um
Yeah.
and Kiara Lester plays Moneypenny. And like yeah, her character is really cool and very clearly gonna be a reoccurring character. Because at the end it they tease that they don't say Spectre, but she probably works for Spectre. And
Yeah.
I'm very curious to see how like what Spectre is gonna be like in this, especially since at the end she gets away with the AI. Spectre now has the AI. And that's scary.
That is scary.
We don't know what they're gonna do with that. We know it's flawed, but it's still very powerful. Like it's not completely flawed. It's not like 100% wrong all the time. It just has a margin of error that they could low key fix.
Right.
So-
Yeah.
or they might just use it for something else. Who knows what they're gonna use it for? Like
Hmm.
they might just make a robot like killing assassins. Like they might make a Terminator or something. I don't know.
Right. And that's the thing that's interesting here. When a lot of those moments happen, it doesn't feel like it's jumping the shark.
Yeah,
It
like
feels
at the
James
end, Damien turned into a goddamn Metal Gear Solid boss.
literally.
He
Um,
was the guy the Fury from Metal Gear Solid 3 at the end.
wait, I will look at the Fury real fast.
Yeah, the Fury, he was an astronaut that got burned and came back, and he like uses a flamethrower and flies around. He's very fun. He's in a similar suit, and
Yeah.
yeah, it was crazy. But it did, like you said, it wasn't jumping the shark. Even though at one point they were literally held over like
Katie.
crocodiles. Which
Right. Oh yeah.
Lenny Kravitz is in this game
I don't know. Yeah.
as Balfma, and he's gonna be in DLC coming back. Which, by the way, I learned that that is revealed that his sister's dead. She died in a fire. So he probably just told her where her like grave is located,
Uh,
and maybe that has something to do with um what happens in the DLC. Like he's mad and he's like, okay, now I'm coming to kill you all. um, yeah, I'm curious to see what that DLC is going to be like because I want more of this game. I want so
same.
much more of this game. I know they're going to add like a Valhalla um DLC where you actually get to drive the car on a road and use the um the weapons on that car because that scene with the car was really fun. But it sucks that we never got to actually drive it on the road.
Yeah.
And I hope we get more of that in the next game. Driving cars like the Valhalla with like gadgets and stuff and throwing like an oil slick. Like that could be really fun.
It would be cool because the driving interaction moments are pretty solid. It's not
Another
entirely
thing
fair.
that you
Yeah.
wouldn't expect them to do so well. The boss
Oh,
fights.
yeah. How do you feel about
A bunch of like they were all basically well, most of them. Some of them were kind of just fist fights, but some of them were like uh Batman Arkham City, Mr. Freeze style boss fights. I didn't mind them. I know a lot of people weren't the biggest fans, but it reminds me of like the final boss in Uncharted 2, where you're just running in a circle shooting them. Um, and yeah, it didn't bother me too much because they didn't last very long. They were all very quick.
Yeah.
I feel like if they took longer to do, then they would be a lot more annoying.
Mm.
Do you think we're gonna see Cressida return? Because apparently there's line dialogue that says like she may be able to walk again. Like she isn't paralyzed.
Right.
So she probably won't be a field agent, maybe, or maybe she will. Who knows? But at the very least, I feel like she's probably still going to work with MI6 somehow when she recovers.
Yeah.
I can see her returning in the next game.
Me too. And I'm sure we're gonna get more Isola.
There was also one
Um.
of the agents that survived is missing. Like he just went off the grid,
Mm,
and I have a feeling he's probably going to go to work for Spectre.
mm,
He was the dude that when you were fighting the guy in the bathroom, and he shows up at the door. That's the one that went missing.
okay.
I feel like he's probably going to end up working for Spectre and make a return.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe Cressida ends up working for Spectre.
Maybe. Which another campy moment comes to mind. James Bond fighting robots.
Yes, I meant to bring that up, and the like giant wrecking ball you control at one point.
Yeah.
Like when I saw the robot, I was like, oh, we're gonna have to fight this. And they were like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, it's indestructible. I was like, oh, how are we gonna
Oh,
fight this?
exactly.
And that's what makes you think we might just have like a Terminator style agent, like that's like has the AI Thea AI in them at some point.
And it wouldn't be crazy.
Like
Like I feel like
they've laid the groundwork.
yeah. I think it's a good intersection between grounded bond and also like very I mean I do think that is I feel like everything comes back to Kojima. I feel like there is Kojima was kind of inspired by James
Oh
Bond.
yeah, I mean Metal Gear Solid 3 is just straight up a James Bond game. I mean
Yeah.
Snake Eater, the main theme, is a James Bond theme. Oh, we didn't even talk
It
about that. The theme in this is great.
was good,
Also, the
yeah.
moment leading up to it was great. We do the explosion and the song starts playing. Every now and again, I find myself humming that song.
Oh yeah, that song is very good. And that like the I'm not MI6 moment. That was a good set piece too. Again, there's a lot of good moments in this game. But yeah, that song was great. And yeah, um the spectacle of it all and how big and just it's just very expansive and does that James Bond thing where it talks about geopolitical ideas and concepts, but does it in the most extreme times 500 way.
Yeah,
And it's grounded in reality, but they also managed to do the fantastical stuff pretty well. So yeah,
yeah.
high marks for me.
Yeah, even some of the fantastical technology, like those robots, is like we've low key seen robots like that exist in real life, so it's not even that crazy anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, great game. Yeah,
Yeah.
very excited to see what they do next.
Same.
Unfortunately, they're under Amazon, and who knows? Hopefully, Amazon doesn't fuck it up. Amazon, just let
Right.
them do their thing. Just give them
We
money. Just give them money and let them do their thing.
I agree.
That's all you got to do. You don't got to do nothing but let them do their thing. They'll make the money for you. You just got to give them
Yeah.
money to let them make the money.
Right.
Scare money don't make money.
Precisely.
That's about it. Um, you can find all of our ads in the link in the description. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel if you want to see more storytelling content, and to click the notification bell so that you're notified when we post. Peace.
Peace.